Now, I'm not sure if IGN is working for the bugs or they're working for the robots, but recently I've noticed on their social media that they've been clickbaiting and rage baiting the Helldivers community, so much so that one of their posts actually got community noted for it. And I'm also going to be showing you guys how the whole players getting kicked for not using meta gear thing was a controversy completely fabricated by them. It was never happening, and it was basically them just lying about our entire community. And it was obviously done so they could drive more clicks to their website. Ultimately, my message by the end of this video is stop falling for it. Make these guys come up with actual creative content rather than just rage baiting and getting rewarded for it. So their most recent post, which got community noted, was restoking the entire conversation about whether Helldivers 2 is pay to win or not. But their tweet for their article is proof that their clickbaiting is just working so well that it's now working against them. Helldivers 2 new premium war bond is out now, and players are defending the game, insisting it's not pay to win. Basically, they clickbaited this to make it sound like that they are calling it pay to win. But if you actually read their article, they're actually just covering both sides of the conversation, and they didn't really call it one way or the other. They're just leaving it up to the viewer. But the way they phrased their tweet covering this article, they really made it sound like they were calling it pay to win. So much so that they received a community note that said if IGN's writers actually played the game, then they would know that super credits are basically really easy to unlock, and you can pretty much just play the game and you'll be able to unlock the war bond every time it comes out. And people who do argue that the game is pay to win wrote, IGN isn't wrong. I just looked into this tonight and it's absolutely pay to win in the sense that you can pay real money to shortcut your way to new upgrades. It's not that big a deal. Tons of games have offered those shortcuts over the years, but that's pay to win. Now, I just looked into this as well, and this guy doesn't play the game. Given the fact that the super credit can only unlock you the new war bond, whether you pay for them or not, you have to earn medals, and that's what's going to unlock you most of the upgrades. And I just have to agree that it seems like the writers over at IGN don't play the game either. And I'm sure that there are some people who do play the game that will call it pay to win. I just think that most of the people who argue this don't actually play the game, because even if it technically falls under the category of pay to win, since you can buy the war bond, it's not a big deal in the community, given that you can easily earn everything for free. And the biggest reason people actually spend money on the war bonds right now is because they love the game and they want to give the developers more money. But if you don't have extra money to spend on video games, you can still earn everything for free in a pretty fast time, or from just regularly playing the game throughout the month before the next war bond comes out. You don't really need to spend any extra money on this game at all, and it's not a big deal whether you do or don't. And everybody who plays the game knows it's not a big deal, and this wouldn't even be a real controversy to anyone who actually plays the game. Now, this is just the most recent rage bait over at IGN, and the community notes thing was kind of funny, but it's not the real reason I wanted to make this video. Now, the real reason I wanted to make this video is because IGN completely fabricated the story that players were getting kicked from lobbies for not running meta builds, and the entire community has been running with it. I've gotten asked to comment about this multiple times in some of my live streams, my comment section, etc. People believe that this is a real thing, but it's just not. And this all started with IGN's first article about this and their first tweet promoting their article. Helldivers 2 players are kicking teammates who aren't bringing meta loadouts to the party. Later making another tweet promoting it again, saying kicking players who don't have so-called meta builds have sparked a vociferous debate within the community, but it's unclear exactly how prevalent this behavior has become. And here's the thing, if we go to the IGN article, we know exactly how prevalent this behavior has become, because what this IGN article is referencing is a single Steam forum post that gained attention for declaring the need to set the standard for 8+ missions. And here is the Steam forum post that says, we need to set the standard for 8+ missions. If they're using anything but the right breaker gun, kick. If they have worthless stratagems that are weak, kick. If they don't have either the railgun or the nade launcher, kick. Not using a shield, kick. And so on and so forth, basically saying kick people from the lobby who aren't using the meta. And let's just see how much the community agrees with this guy. Well, it seems like this guy has received 323 jester rewards over on the Steam forums basically calling this guy a clown. And if we go over to Reddit, where IGN most likely got the idea for this article, it was a screenshot of the Steam post saying, "Why are people like this?" And it received 24,000 upvotes, meaning that 24,000 people are wondering, why is this guy like this? Now, first of all, this is just a fabricated controversy. It is clickbait in the fact that they wrote Helldivers 2 players are kicking teammates, when there's only confirmed one guy, and the rest of the community called this guy a clown. So if anything, you should write Helldivers 2 player. But more importantly, what's even worse about this is they have been repeatedly promoting this idea within the community, and the entire community is assuming this is a real thing.
Players in Helldivers 2 are kicking teammates who don't have meta builds. So if you want the best build to survive the front lines and avoid getting kicked, here's the build you should be rocking.
So basically they're putting out a build guide saying this is the build to not get kicked, here's the meta. And then even worse, they made 2 different posts that the CEO of Arrowhead is asking the community for ideas on how to stop the game's toxic kicking problem.
Helldivers 2 devs are taking a really cool approach to solving the game's toxic kicking problem, asking the community. In case you missed it, some players are kicking their teammates before games even get going because they're not bringing so-called meta builds to the party.
So they're claiming that the CEO of Arrowhead is asking people how to stop players from getting kicked from running meta loadout. Let's go ahead and actually investigate into why the CEO is asking for ideas on the toxic kicking problem. Now, if we read the CEO asking for help, he's saying, "This is so shitty, also very hard to solve. We have some ideas, but no conclusion. Let's try this. Hivemind, do you have a design suggestion for how to improve this experience?" And he's saying this in reference to this original tweet saying, "I've been removed from matches using a single stratagem or a particular weapon the host doesn't like. People will kick for the tiniest reason. On the upside, those matchups have been far and few between, but frequent enough to be notable." Now, like I said, this person is talking about when you bring a stratagem like the 380mm barrage, for example, because that stratagem team kills a lot. Or if you bring a mortar, for example, because that stratagem team kills a lot. Or if you bring mines. Now, it's honestly an inside joke within the community that if they bring mines, then kick them from your lobby, but it's always just been a joke. But it's mainly for stuff that team kills, or the particular weapon. Let's talk about the arc thrower, a very strong weapon, but it does have a capability to team kill if you're not being careful with how you use it. And if we read some other people's posts, it'll say, "The kicking from the game is egregious. I've been kicked 3 times now, right at the end of the match, right when the dropship is coming in. I was probably one of the better players. I got kicked for doing nothing at all. Can you help by instituting a group vote kick?" Or this other guy saying, "Last week I was removed only 5 minutes after the extraction ship arrived from a 40-minute mission. I lost every single sample and credit I got. There are a lot of toxic people out there." And I have seen multiple people talk about this, that they're getting kicked right before extraction. Now, I will say that the game does kind of have a bad connection sometimes, and it's possible that you might not be getting kicked and it's actually just disconnecting, which is unfortunate when you spend a lot of time grinding samples and whatnot. But there is also a slight issue with just trolls kicking people so that they don't gain any resources that they farm for that game. And here's the thing, I think if there's just random trolls on this game, you kind of can't avoid that. There's trolls on every game. Now, the best solution for this problem I've seen is someone recommending that instead of getting kicked back to the ship, you get kicked back to your own instance of that game. So that way you just load in to a single player version of the game you've already been playing with all the samples and all the rewards in your inventory, instead of getting kicked and losing out on all that stuff completely. But at the end of the day, there's trolls in every single video game. You can't really control people who are just going to kick you for no reason just so that you don't get your stuff. But this is very different from a culture within the community of kicking people for not using meta gear or meta loadouts, when that's not happening at all. And IGN has now covered this situation as if it's something going on within our community when it's just not. They've even said that the CEO has acknowledged this situation when he didn't. He simply acknowledged that there is a toxic kicking issue or a disconnect issue, and he simply asked people for some solutions to this problem. But it's more so just growing pains within the community or trolling. It's not some sort of toxic culture, and there is no sort of meta culture within this community. There might be arguments on what the meta is. People might hate when YouTubers like myself use the word meta because they don't want to see those items get nerfed. And at the end of the day, there's a lot of stuff that works within this game. There are underrated strategies that work within this game, and there are strategies that just people haven't been sharing around yet. And there's different ways to play this game. You don't have to fall under some sort of meta. And for those that do want to play the meta and want to be successful and getting good extractions, that's totally understandable, and it shouldn't be a problem either way with what people play, as long as you aren't team killing so much. So let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below, and let me know what you think about IGN rage baiting. And my ultimate message to you is just honestly, don't fall for it. There are always gaming journalists who are going to clickbait and rage bait, and my tip is just don't fall for it. That way they stop getting interaction from rage baiting, and then they go on to actually making good content. So be sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel. I'll see you guys in the next one. I'm out.